Prior to 202 BCE, when Hannibal lost to Africanus, the entire continent was called Ethiopia. The region from India to Egypt was also called Ethiopia. India itself was called Eastern Ethiopia. In other words, the Middle East didn't exist until Britain started coining that phrase in the middle 1800s. So let's read. What continent is Jerusalem in? According to them, they're saying it's part of Asia, as if Middle East is part of Asia. But what does this say? It seems that certain classical historians and geographers call the whole region from India to Egypt, both countries inclusive, by the name of Ethiopia. So let's listen.
Hebrew Israelites here in Israel, about our particular history as a community and our history as a people connecting back to this land. We consider Israel to be Northeast Africa. We are living here in the southern portion of Israel in what is known as the southern Judean mountains. And of course, we have to make this clear that Israel predates any Palestinian connections here to this land.
Israel represents Ethiopia, for the king of Ethiopia is the king of Zion. Israel represents Jacob, also known as Israel, for Jah is Jacob and Israel. So Judah is an Ethiopian. Continue.
And when you look at the name of Palestine, it was the name that the Romans gave to the land formerly known as Judea. Now, I didn't say Jewish or Judaism, but Judea.
Judea is just another name for Judah, which is an Ethiopian. But don't forget, the whole land from India to Egypt was called Ethiopia. The entire continent of Africa was called Ethiopia. So an Egyptian is really an Ethiopian, a disobedient Ethiopian.
So the Judeans were the people that actually lived in this portion of this land prior to it being named Palestine by the Romans. So this is what we consider to be Northeast Africa. We are sitting on the African tectonic plate. There are African species of birds and animals and plants that you'll find all throughout this region.
Why I took you here is that I want to show you that the country called Israel is sitting on the African tectonic plate. Now, we're going to go over here and I'm going to show you where Israel sits on the African tectonic plate, which means that Israel is Northeast Africa. Now, when we look at this map, this is the Sinai. Okay? This is the Red Sea. This is Egypt. This is the Sinai. This is Israel. All right? This is Saudi Arabia over here. Now, if you see this in Hebrew, it says Haluach Afrikani, the African plate. Here it is.
Amid the fabled hills of Judea in Southwest Asia stands Jerusalem.
Southwest Asia. No, they're in Africa. You see, they're just going out their way to cover up where they are. They're literally in Ethiopia, because as we clearly see, from India to Egypt, both countries inclusive, was called Ethiopia. So look at the countries between India and Egypt. All of that was called Ethiopia. And the only country on that continent that they haven't colonized or conquered by Islam is Ethiopia. So currently there are two sets of Europeans using a conflict to bring armies closer to Ethiopia, because eventually they plan to invade Ethiopia. Let's continue.
Jerusalem, the capital of Palestine, sacred to three of the world's great religions.
Get it? 3 different religions are coming to that land. Now, both of them are creating a conflict. So let's read. Are you not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel, said the Lord? Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt? As we could clearly see, Egypt was called Ethiopia. So an Egyptian was referred to as a disobedient Ethiopian, And Egypt itself was referred to as the granddaughter of Ethiopia. So currently, they are Arabs. Now, where are the Arabs from? Spain. There have been Arabs in Spain since the 8th century. Now, currently, they are in lands such as Morocco, Algeria, Lebanon, Syria, the Palestinian territories, Iraq, Egypt, Tunisia, Libya, Jordan, Sudan. In other words, Arabs are Spaniards. The Moors Arabs from North Africa lived in Spain. Muslim Spain from 711 to 1492. So what happened in 1492? Spain just went to the other side of Africa and started another slave trade. And notice, an Arab was someone from France, Portugal, or Spain. And notice the Ottoman Empire is right next to it. The same countries that the Arabs control is literally the same countries that the Ottomans control. And as you can see, Ottoman is literally right next to Spain. So they're basically the same people, just changing their identities. So currently, there are Northern Europeans in conflict with Southern Europeans fighting over Ethiopian land.
The British, with the Arab Egyptians, began to invade the Sudan. The Italians began to invade Ethiopia. The French invade Morocco and Algeria. The Spanish invade Mauritania and what is now called Sahara. The French invade.
As you can clearly see, Europeans trying to invade the continent of Ethiopia.